No one lays down the law like Car and Key. This is the Law Report on SAFM.
And as I mentioned earlier, this is our open line, effectively, at Law Clinic tonight with attorney Irunda Trutter. We have 2 emails to get through in a moment, but first of all, we have Christian on the line. Christian, good evening. Welcome to the show.
Good evening, Karen, and good evening, all the visitors and the attorney.
So you have a problem with your late brother's estate. It sounds like a nightmare, Christian.
It is a mess.
So what is going on with this now?
We had an executor that you had to wind up the estate within the prescribed time, and that wasn't done. And I informed the master to remove him up to this minute. Now, I reported him to the Law Society. He had to appear on the 1st of November, and he's just, what's the word I could say? He didn't appear.
Oh, you didn't pitch up?
He didn't pitch up. He lied to the Law Society. He said that we have withdrawn the complaint against him.
And what did they say? What did you say what did they say when you told them that wasn't true?
No, they said no. They're gonna summons. They're gonna let him know again sometime in the new year when he has got to appear again.
But Christian, this has been going on since 2010, so it's like 7 years ago.
See, that's correct.
Irunda, what else can Christian do here? I mean, he's not getting any joy, and this attorney doesn't seem to be playing ball either.
Well, what is the situation with the estate at the moment at the master? Have they removed the executor?
No, that's what he's trying to do.
No, I think the master has removed him, and we asked him to give the documents to another attorney. And he said, before he gives the documents to another attorney, I must withdraw the case from the Law Society. And I said, no, I will not do that.
No, because it's 2 completely different situations. The removal is because of that complaint, so if you remove him, then you are free as the heirs to appoint a new executor. You just nominate someone, as it seems like you did, and the master needs to issue new letters of authority so that you can go on with winding up the estate.
That's what we're waiting for.
But now, how can the Law Society or the master tell him to withdraw the case from the Law Society?
The master can't do that because it's a completely separate issue. It has nothing to do with the actual estate. That's just the reason why you have removed him as the executor. It's not going to affect the estate in any way.
I mean, all you're doing, I'm assuming, Christian, at the Law Society is reporting the bad
his incompetence,
service, the incompetence of the attorney.
That's correct.
So where do you stand now? I mean, when and this happened, I mean, he didn't arrive on the 1st of November. It's now the 13th of November. Have you heard anything further? It sounds, I mean, like a nightmare.
And now I'm waiting from the Law Society to inform me when will be the next hearing, the disciplinary hearing. That's what I'm waiting from the Law Society now. But they told me it won't be this year. It will be sometime in the beginning of the new year.
Yeah, things are a bit slow on the Law Society side, but I think you should put pressure on the master to get the estate going in the meantime.
Yes, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Have you gone to the master's office? Which master's office is it?
It's here in Marshall Street, Johannesburg.
Okay. You can go to the office and speak to the person who is handling the matter. And
we got another attorney. He's waiting to be appointed as executor.
As executor, okay, and then you can go ahead with the estate. If you don't get right at the master, just complain to the higher ups at the master's office. That normally works.
But how long will it take? I mean, if they've got a new attorney, why aren't they just saying, "Here are the letters, get on with it"?
They should just issue the letter automatically if all the heirs are in agreement about the new executor. They should just issue the letter of authority and draw up a new liquidation account and go ahead with the winding up of the estate. The issue with the Law Society has no...
It's a separate thing completely.
Yeah, it's completely separate.
Christian, are all the heirs in agreement that you've now got this new attorney and they're all happy with that?
Yes, they are.
Well, then there shouldn't be an issue,
Then the master should just issue your letters of authority as soon as possible.
Yeah, now I've been waiting for that for a year now.
No, that's not... It's not supposed to be like that. You should definitely, you should complain to someone higher than the person who is the estate controller, like the assistant master, or go directly to the top master.
Yeah, they've been playing around with me there. The master, the files even went missing. I even went up to the chief master on the last floor and to the deputy master. It's a mess.
Phew. Yeah, no, then if the attorney must just put pressure on them and get it done as soon as possible.
Because you can't keep hanging on.
Yeah, it's not cool.
Yeah, you see, now we've got a problem. I am 77 years old. The next interstate beneficiary is 78 years old. And the new executor will be 79. Any one of us can die in this period.
Yeah, so you have time constraint as well.
Yeah.
Or maybe can you ask the new attorney to start putting pressure on the master's
Yes,
office?
definitely.
Has he done that, Christian?
I've been to the attorney the whole year, pressuring him.
Well, if they haven't, I'm not knowing what I'm talking about here, just a question. Who appointed these attorneys, Christian? The new executor. Who appointed the new executor? Because you say there's a new executor now.
He's not appointed as executor yet. He's waiting for the master to be appointed.
Okay, well, who decided that was the person that they were going to consider appointing as the executor? Was it you or the master's office?
No, you see, my church recommended me to this attorney because he's one of our parishioners. And that's how I ended up with this new executor, or who will be the new executor.
Okay, so that hasn't been confirmed yet. There's no letters or anything.
Confirmed
So
yet,
you could actually go to somebody else, is what I was trying to get at.
Yeah.
Maybe you should go and get yourself another attorney that's got no connections with anybody, completely independent. Go and possibly, because then they will work for you, and in a hurry. You know.
Yeah.
You should maybe go and speak to, or maybe what you should do is contact the Law Society and ask them to give you some suggestions of who deals with this kind of thing, and then you can actually go and speak to some other attorneys. And
because it shouldn't take this long at all. It should have been done a long time ago.
It's going now for 8 years, and I'm mad.
No, I can imagine.
Christian, you know what I'm actually going to do? I don't know if this will help you at all. I do have your email address because you emailed me. Now, in September, I think it was, we had National Wills Week, which is gone. Yes. It's happened. It's finished. But I'm going to email you later this evening when I get back to my office. I'm going to ask you to let me know in the email in what part of Johannesburg you live. And then I'm going to send you a list of attorneys that were willing to work for free, not now, but back in Wills Week. So they're obviously decent, upstanding attorneys.
And they're dealing
with wills. And I'm going to send you a list of their names, and then you can maybe contact some of those attorneys and ask them if they might be able to help you.
Yeah, that will help, as long as they wind up this thing as soon as possible.
Well, that's what I say. I'm going to send you a list of names. I'm going to ask what area of Johannesburg you live in. You can just email me back and let me know, and then I will send you, or what I'm going to do is actually put you back to my producer.
I'm out in Alexander, Eldorado Park, but I'm in town every day because I'm there at the church.
Okay, you live in Eldorado Park, and also you're in the Joburg CBD.
Yeah, I'm there every day. I could say every day.
Okay. What I'm going to do, Christian, when I get back to my office later tonight, I'm going to send you a list of attorneys that were working on Wills Week back in September, but they are all affiliated to the Law Society, and they are decent, upstanding attorneys. And so maybe give one of them a call and ask them if they can help you. And that will, I'm sure, get the thing moving a whole lot faster.
Yes.
Yeah, because this current attorney, I don't even trust him.
Well, that's never a good starting point.
Yeah, because he assumed that we withdrawn the case. That's what he told the other executor.
No, I think you must just forget about all these other people. Go and find yourself a new attorney and get this sorted out now.
Yeah, I think that's the best. Give me those names.
I'm going to email you later, Christian.
Yes.
And good luck. And then I want you to let me know, I'm sure in a month's time, I'm sure it'll be that quick, when they've appointed the new executor. Once you get a new attorney on this, I'm sure it'll go very quickly.
Yes.
Good luck.
Thank you very much for your help.
Only a pleasure, Christian. Have a good evening. Okay. Good night to you. Bye-bye. Right, if you have any questions, 0892 10 20 10 or SMS on 40938. Right, we've got 2 emails we just need to get through. The one says, I would like to find out the criterion to register a vehicle under a trust company. I'm trying to help a certain community running a farming business in Limpopo, funded by a particular company, and they have assets like tractors and vehicles, but they do not know how they can go about to register these assets. They've been sent from pillar to post until they gave up, as no one was able to help them solve this problem. They even went to an accountant, but he vanished and never came back to them with the correct information. I offer to help them get their assets registered with the Department of Transport and be securely safe in their trust's name. What do they do?
This is an interesting question because I've never heard of someone struggling to register a vehicle. It seems like a fairly easy process. In terms of the National Road Traffic Act, all vehicles, whether you use them on a public road or not, has to be registered with the Department of Transport. And I did a bit of research just to see if tractors maybe are exempted in terms of the Act, because there are exemptions. For instance, like something like a golf cart, which is a vehicle, but it's exempted from being registered. But a tractor still needs to be registered. And from what I could find is that it's the simplest process. You fill in the application form at your nearest motor vehicle registration, and you submit the accompanying documents like the owner's ID, a manufacturing certificate if the vehicle has never been registered before, which will have all the details of what it is exactly, and a roadworthy certificate if the vehicle is more than 3,500 kilos. So all you have to do is submit all of that and the vehicle is registered. So I don't understand how they are sending him from place to place, not knowing how to register a vehicle.
Now, if this vehicle is already registered in somebody's name and
Yes.
they are then going to be part of that trust, or is there going to be their trust, does it have to be transferred into the name of the trust?
It will need to be transferred into the name of the trust. If the trust is already in existence, it needs to be in existence already for it to be transferred into the name of the trust. But again, it should be as simple as providing the motor registration office with the existence of the trust, meaning a letter of authority that has the reference number on it, just to show that the trust is in existence and it can be transferred into the name of the trust. If it's registered in someone's name now, it's also just another form that you fill in to transfer ownership. But obviously, if there's assets are being sold to the trust, I would say make sure there's a valid sales agreement in place, or if it's being donated, make sure there's a donation agreement in place, just to make sure there's a paper trail of how this happened. But it should be as simple as filling in the forms and registering the vehicles.
Okay, if you're listening to this show at this time, Tamishi, if you're listening, give us a call. If that hasn't answered your question, you still have further questions on that point, just give us a shout and we'll hopefully be able to help you. The other one says, we'd actually answered something else. Nicolene had actually done this a couple of months ago. One of the listeners was asking about interest rates and the National Credit Act, and she'd answered that. And he says, I was very happy with your response through Nicolene Skumanlo to my question concerning the interest rate as the National Credit Act provides. However, on the next program, she said the maximum interest one can charge is 24% per annum. Am I wrong to charge 20% per month, not per annum?
Yes, the maximum interest rate chargeable in terms of the National Credit Act is 24% per annum, which means 24% per year, not per month. So if you're allowed to charge 24% per year, that means 2% per month. So the listener is definitely wrong in charging 20% per month. That's
way too
completely against the provisions of the National Credit Act.
Okay, I hope that explains
that. You should revise that as soon as possible.
Yesterday.
Yes.
Right, we've got a couple of... Okay, we've got a property question, but I'm sure it's as simple. It says, is it true if a person has lived in a flat for 27 years that they can't be evicted if they don't pay the levy?
No, there's no such thing.
No, they don't pay the levy.
It's squatter rights, but there's no such thing. If you don't pay and you're not the rightful owner, you can be evicted.
Okay, that's quite simple. Okay, the next one is about citizenship law. I did look into this myself a while ago, so I have sort of a half an idea of what this is about. It says, could you possibly clarify the South African citizenship law with regard to holding another country's citizenship at the same time? Does one require permission to hold such? And what happens if two citizenships are held but no permission was sought? I did look into this actually a while ago for somebody else, and this, from what I can gather, and don't quote me on this because this is just my very bad memory of trying to remember stuff, that if you have a South African citizenship and you apply for, say, for example, for a British citizenship, you have to get permission from the South African government, effectively, to get that British citizenship. Otherwise, you can lose it. You can lose your South African citizenship if you haven't got permission to hold both. But from what I remember, if you go onto the internet, it's all on there. Just look up South African citizenship. It's all, and that's where I found it the last time. So have a look. Not that I've applied for anything, but just go and have a look. Because that is what I've just said now. That is what I remember from having read that. There is this whole thing about, and I didn't realize that was this permission thing.
No, I also didn't.
So go and have a look on the website, or just have a look for South African citizenship or dual citizenship or whatever it is. Just put that in, and you'll be able to find it. Yeah.
The embassy should also be able to give you a straight
And on the
answer.
British citizenship thing, for example, I think also there you can find it on there, tells you. So there is something about you can't just have a whole pile of citizenships.
Everything together.
No. Okay, we've got a call on the line. If you have any questions, call us in 0892 10 20 10 or SMS on 40938. Eric in Belfast, good evening.
Good evening, ma'am. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Thanks, good.
How can we help you, Eric?
Yes, I just want to find out here. I've filed for a divorce through a lawyer. And then it's been 3 months and there's nothing happening. Actually, initially when I asked him after some weeks, he told me that they've done the paperwork, they've sent everything to the sheriff. Sooner or later, my wife will know that, what's happening. But ever since, it's quiet. When I ask, they say, no, everything's with the sheriff. So I don't know, how does it take, for the action to go?
It certainly does not take 3 months to draw up the paperwork to start with.
Yeah.
But let's take it from there. As soon as the summons is drawn up, issued at court, it's sent to the sheriff, and the sheriff should serve it on your wife. So there could be a bit of a delay if the sheriff can't get hold of her. But normally the sheriff tries about 3 times, and if they can't get hold of her or they can't find her, then they send the paperwork back to the attorney. So the attorney would know immediately if the sheriff couldn't get hold of her, and you can make a different plan. So even though there might be a bit of a delay there, it's not going to be a further 3-month delay, because the sheriff only tries about 3 times before they tell you, listen, give me new instructions.
Okay. So is there other means? Can I go direct to the court to apply for divorce, or do I have to do it through the lawyer?
If the paperwork has already been issued, like you said, there's already a summons, the summons has gone through court and it's gone to the sheriff, that means you already have a case number linked to your name. Okay. So you can take it by yourself, you can go to court, but I would suggest rather use legal services, especially if you think the divorce is going to be contested, if your wife is going to contest whatever you want or whatever is to be divided. But what you can do is you can contact the sheriff directly if you know which sheriff it's at, and you can ask how far are they. Then you'll know immediately if it's still with the sheriff or if it's with the attorney.
So with the sheriff, what duration is it given to do this thing? So is it given a month or?
No, it shouldn't take a month. The sheriff is supposed to do it as quickly as possible when he receives the instruction. It just depends if he can find your wife or not. But even then, it shouldn't take a month.
Okay.
And then, once all that's done, though, the case itself might not be heard for a while.
Yes, as soon as the summons is served on your wife, she will have 10 days to enter a defense, meaning that she wants to defend the matter, and then she'll have a further 20 days to state her side of the story, and that also goes to court. And from there, normal litigation time limits are adhered to going forward. If it's not contested, then it could be smooth sailing and you can be divorced in a month. So it will only depend on whether she's going to contest your divorce or not. But you should find out where your paperwork is, even if you then want to take it to court yourself, which you can do. But at least find out where it is, because it won't work if you open a new case.
All right. Thanks for the help.
Does it sound like it's going to be an easy divorce, Eric, or is it going to be problematic?
Yeah, it will be problematic.
Yeah, well, it's always a sad time. It's not an easy time, but if like you guys sort of have an amicable divorce and you all agree on everything, then it could be quite quick. But if everyone's going to argue about who owns which chair or which, you know what I'm saying, it's going to take a while.
No, I'll try to ask for an easy one.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Good luck, Eric. Thanks so much. Bye-bye. Right, if you have any questions, 0892 10 20 10, or you can SMS us on 40938. We've spoken a little bit in the very beginning about estates and things like that, and it's one of those things that, the story that Christian was telling us, it shouldn't be that difficult.
It shouldn't
to have an estate wound up.
It really shouldn't be that difficult, especially if there's a valid will that sets out exactly what needs to happen. All that needs to happen is the executor needs to follow the wishes of the will. As simple as that. But obviously things happen. There's not agreement about actually dad left me this and no, the will is wrong, that type of thing, which can delay it. And if there's some financial difficulties, but it shouldn't take that long.
Was on here on the email that he sent us initially, because we actually phoned him because we weren't quite sure about where the case was at that stage. But initially he said the executor failed to lodge the L&D account on the due date, and we requested the Master of the High Court to remove the attorney as the executor, and that's where the trouble started.
Yes.
And that was in 2010.
That's crazy.
When his brother died in 2010. Let's talk about what happens when the L&D account and your attorney needs to lodge that.
Yes, so when the person dies, the executor has to report the death to the master, fill in a bunch of forms that you can all get on the website, and the master then appoints the executor as it states in the will, because your will is supposed to state who your executor will be, which I assume in this case was that attorney at that point. And that person is then appointed by the master as the executor and needs to draw up the liquidation and distribution account, which didn't happen in this case.
How much time do they get to do that?
The master normally gives you a month to lodge the L&D, and if you don't lodge it in that time, you can ask for leniency if there's a valid reason why you are late, which this guy also didn't do. But they're normally very lenient because it is a slow process that the master doesn't go very quickly there. There is some delay, so sometimes they are also delayed, which means you are delayed. But 10 years.
No.
Almost 10 years.
Well, 7 years now.
7 years.
Yeah.
That can't.
So, I mean, basically they had an executor which was obviously named in the will.
Yeah.
That executor did not do what they were supposed to do. They then had asked for him to be removed. The master then said, okay, well, then appoint someone else, who now also seems not to be doing anything.
Yes, because normally what happens then, once you remove the executor that has been appointed in terms of the will, you need to have a valid reason why you are removing it, because it goes against the wishes of the will. So once you remove it, the heirs then have the chance to appoint an executor of their choosing. And if they are all in agreement, that person accepts the nomination and the master just appoints them. If they don't agree, then each gives their own nomination and the master has the final decision on who the executor will be. Which didn't happen in this case. They were all in agreement. It was
as Christian said, it's him and his brother.
Yes.
There's the two of them, and he's worried that he's 78 and the brother's 76 or something.
A bit of a time
and
constraint.
the new executor that was recommended to him is 79. So he said, this is getting a bit dicey now. So, so if I send him this list and he chooses an attorney, how long should it take once he decides and phones the attorneys? How long will it take for them to be issued these new papers? Or how long should it take?
It shouldn't take more than 2 weeks.
And then
they should just fill in the forms, appoint the new executor, master should issue a letter of authority, and they can go ahead with a new L&D. It doesn't even need to be a new L&D, because I'm assuming there's already a draft.
Well, one would think so.
And things haven't changed since then.
Or maybe there isn't even one.
Maybe he hasn't even started
Well, that's what I'm saying. One would think maybe there isn't even one.
So, yeah, it's... can't even believe it.
It's quite horrifying. I mean,
we always urge clients to think long and hard when you appoint your executor. Because not only does it need to be someone that can deal with all this admin, it needs to be someone that you can trust completely to follow your wishes of your will and to manage this whole situation, which this didn't happen in this case.
Would it not be, I mean, just as an example, excuse me, possibly appointing your spouse as the executor and knowing full well they wouldn't be able to cope with this estate, but nominating your spouse as the executor on the understanding that once this all comes to pass, they will then approach an attorney.
Go to an attorney.
So rather than naming an attorney in the will.
Yes.
So you can actually do that.
Yes, you can do that, and we propose you do that instead of having a bank or an attorney firm as your executor.
Right, so you actually name your spouse?
You name like a family member or a trusted friend, someone that you know is going to be able to handle this.
Well, somebody that you know. I mean, that's the most important thing. Because they would know what you... If there is a debate, possibly, Nicolene always says, if there's a debate about something of one of your possessions that possibly needs to be sold to cover any costs that might be incurred, your trusted person who knows you would know that you would like that to stay in the family, not sell that thing.
Exactly.
But know what, that sort of intimate knowledge of the person.
Instead of some random attorney that didn't know you from a bar of soap.
Yeah, so that's a very important thing. Nicolene's pet project is wills.
I know.
And we had a really, from what I can gather, a very successful Wills Week this year, which is really good, because a lot of the listeners actually contacted me afterwards and said, thank you so much, we've been in touch with the attorneys. We now have a will, which is really good. So it will be coming up again in 2018, so stay tuned. If you didn't manage to do it this year, we'll do it again next year. Okay, let's go back to the lines. And as just a reminder, 0892 10 20 10 or SMS on 40938. Jack in Durban, good evening.
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you for taking my call.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you to our guest as well. I need help. I need advice, please.
Yes, Jack.
I have a daughter who's in campus in Durban, well-known campus, and her scripts went missing, and she did not get her DP. With the result, she did not write a final examination. Now, we have emailed the campus so many times, gone right up to the rector, and they're just pushing us around. The child loses 1 year of study. The child loses 1 year of pension. The child is saddened. It's the final year. She would have completed a degree this year. And when she wrote the stuff, she wrote the assessments, she signed for it. When we requested for the attendance registers, it's lost. Let's check your footage, your camera footage. No, we don't have camera footage. I'm so desperate. I don't know what to do. I'm fighting a massive institution, tertiary institution. My question is, do I now write to the Minister of Higher Education? Advise me, please.
If you say her scripts are lost, do you mean the exams she wrote, the assessments that she handed in?
Yes.
Everything?
Not everything.
But the important stuff?
Yes, and that's what she wrote it. She passed it. Now they say they lost it. And with the result, she didn't get a DP. And this is going on from May. They are just pushing us from pillar to post, and they say, no, it's an internal matter. Where's internal matter here? And now, I've written up, we have emailed to the chief of the chiefs who's handling this stuff, yeah? They sent us a threatening letter to say she's been charged.
Charged with what?
Wonderful question. That's what we're waiting to hear. What are they charging us for? My child is so depressed.
No, I can imagine.
And I tell you, she wants to complete finance. By the way, I couldn't get advice from lawyers. You get good lawyers and you get wonderful lawyers. First thing a lawyer tells me is, you must come with 2,000 rand, I'll speak to you about it. Just for advice. Another lawyer tells me, come with 5,000 rand, I'll speak to you. Just for advice. I'm in a fix where I don't know what to do. Financially, I'm bad. Very bad, in fact. Please help me, give me advice.
It's a tough question. I wish I had the right answer for you, because my only advice would have been to go up to the highest person at the university that you can do, but it seems like you've already done that. And I can't see how they lost things like that and how they don't have records of that. And even if they lost a paper or one or two papers, her average over the past 3 years to get a degree should still count for something. It can't just mean that she can't get a degree. And if they say to you that she's been charged, they need to give you information on that so that you can know what it is about and how to approach it.
Yes, ma'am, I hear you.
And they didn't say, they can't just charge you without telling you why they're charging you.
My interpretation to that email was, it's a threat to quieten the student down. Unfortunately, they are saying, it's an internal matter. Now, yes, internal. So whatever they say is going to run. I disagree totally with that. My next step is to write to the Minister of Higher Education. Could I do that? Am I on the right lines?
Yes, you can certainly do that. It's probably going to take you a while to get a response from there. But
is there no sort of there's no ombud or there's nothing?
What did I know of?
Education-wise.
Department of Education.
We went to the Ombudsman. Unfortunately, the Ombudsman is from the tertiary institution himself, and I don't have to tell you whose side he's taking. unfortunately. So, I can engage an attorney on this matter, but financially it's going to cost me a leg and an arm and a whole body.
Could you not go to legal aid for something like this?
You see, when it comes to I've been to legal aid, and with respect, I wouldn't want to comment on
Okay, but then also the other option, Jack, is that maybe not that particular university, but all universities have got a law clinic at the university. That's the one option, and to maybe go to a different university's law clinic. The other option is you could go to the law society or contact the law society. They do have attorneys. Correct me if I'm wrong, Arinda, who work pro bono. Tell them your story, and they could possibly appoint an attorney who's willing to take your case pro bono, which means they're not going to charge you.
Even if it's just to get out a letter to the university to know, so that they can know you're serious about this, and it's not just play.
Yes, I've tried everything my way. My poor daughter is in West. I have another daughter as well who's studying, and she's also depressed because normally they study together. And to have one child studying, and she feels saddened that her sister is not studying as well, And it's only, when you put your hand in the fire, well, you know what heat is, and I know what I'm going through.
Jack?
But I hear what you're saying. With due respect, you say, I must phone the law society and ask for help. And if there's anybody out there listening who could advise us, please, I would so much welcome it.
Okay, well, people are listening now, so if anyone has got an answer for you, hopefully they can call in. But, Jack, there is the Law Society in KwaZulu-Natal. They'll be in the telephone directory. Just look them up or call directory inquiries and then ask to speak to somebody. Who would you ask for when you got through to them? Arinda?
Yes, you can just ask for a general attorney because it's not a specialized field. You just need someone on your side.
Yes.
Just ask that you need some help, finding an attorney who can help you pro bono and tell them what the problem is, and they should be able to assist you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I will do that. With due respect, I most respectfully thank you guys for giving me that advice. I appreciate it.
Well, good luck to you, Jack, and all the best for your daughter.
Yes, almighty guide, and thank you very, very much.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks. Good night. You're listening to the Law Report this evening. If you have any questions, 0892 10 20 10 or SMS on 40938.
No one lays down the law like Car and Key. This is the Law Report on SAFM.
Right, back with the Law Report, and we've had some SMSs come in, and one of them says, what is the minimum amount I should have to open a trust account? I'm told it's 3 million. I don't think that's right.
No, that doesn't sound right. I don't think there is a minimum. A trust account is just a trust account.
I remember many years ago, we opened a trust account. We haven't put anything in the trust yet. And it's been sitting there for like 10 years.
Yes.
There's nothing in it. You've got to go to an attorney and you've got to draw up this trust document.
Yes, and then open your trust account. But there's no minimum that needs to go in there.
You don't even have to have anything to start with when you open it.
Because you can move things into the trust.
Later.
Yeah.
So it can be completely nothing in there.
Completely new.
From when you start. So you don't need to put anything in it to start with.
Especially not 3 million.
No, we would have a trust account in that case. So you can go to an attorney who draws up trust documents. They'll draw up the trust account.
And you register the trust with the master. And you can open the trust account as soon as you have the reference number from the master.
And that's when you can start putting stuff in, and it doesn't have to be 3 million. No.
It's like a normal bank account.
Yeah. Well, not quite, but
yes, but
that when it comes to opening it up, So no, there's no such thing as the 3 million. Someone says the minister should reply within 14 days, then contact them again and prod him or her. Done it. Somebody, Dawn's SMS to Dawn obviously has the same. I imagine with the university thing. Somebody called Dawn says she's contacted the minister, should reply within 14 days. If they haven't, contact them again and then prod him or her. And then says, done it. So obviously she's had the same problem and got it right. So, Jack, if you,
so
possibly your thing about contacting the Minister of Education, that might be the way to go, because Dawn seems to have had some luck there.
Some success.
Right, we've got Thomas on the line from Hazyview. Thomas, good evening.
Good evening, and how are you?
Very well, and you?
I can't complain, thanks.
How can we help, Thomas? You've had a cell phone issue.
Yes.
What's the problem?
In fact, I entered into a contract with Vodacom. Then I see through the contract, it was a 24-month contract. So I didn't renew the contract. But to my surprise, my airtime, which I have paid for, has been taken away. And when I contacted Vodacom and asked them why my airtime has gone away, they told me I have forfeited it because I cancelled the contract. But to be honest, I didn't cancel the contract. The contract came to an end, and then I opted not to renew it. So I was shocked, and they didn't refund me my airtime or my money, which I have paid for the airtime, which they have taken back.
How can they take it back from you?
Yes,
I know that after a 2-year contract, if you don't renew it, you just roll over month to month. It just becomes a monthly thing. So what was this? Did you put money in your airtime and stuff? When did you actually put that into your phone? Was it after your contract had expired?
No, before the contract expired, I didn't use the airtime which was allocated to me. I'm sure it's about 3 months or 4 months. I didn't use that airtime. So the airtime has to stay in my SIM card, and then I was getting 100 Rand airtime. Then I was supposed to have had a balance of around 400 and something in airtime, or 300 and something like that. So when the contract expired, I didn't renew it, and that SIM card was converted into a
pay-as-you-go.
A pay-as-you-go, and subsequently that airtime which I have paid for, which I have honored the contract in paying for, was taken back by Vodacom. They say I have forfeited it.
I think in this case it will depend what your actual contract with the cell phone company said, because it might have said that if you don't use it before the contract is over, then it might lapse.
You need to check your contract, Thomas. Because that was part of possibly the airtime was seen as part of the contract, and now that the contract's over,
it lapses.
That could, but you need to check your contract. If it doesn't say that, then you've got a case. Then you can call them. Yes. But if it does say that, then unfortunately that's the way that their contract works. But have you still got the original contract that you signed?
No, I signed online, but I understand what you're saying. But my question is that I have paid for that airtime. Money was taken to cover for that airtime.
Yes, but remember
how can it be forfeited, whereas I have paid for it, and I didn't cancel a contract midway through it.
Okay,
it ran for 24 months, and of which everything that is in that SIM card or everything which I have paid for, it was mine. So
okay, Arunda?
You just remember you had a 24-month contract and you paid a monthly fee. So even though you didn't use it, you still had to pay the monthly fee. So your contract might say that even though you paid the monthly fee, if you didn't use the airtime, it's going to lapse when the contract is ended. And I understand that you say you didn't end the contract.
And that you did pay for it, but that was part of the contract.
But by not renewing it, it has been terminated.
Yes.
So what they do sometimes is they say, this is how much you're going to pay every month for your contract, every month for 24 months, and included in that payment, obviously you're paying a portion every month for the handset, for the new phone that you got. You're also paying possibly for part of that payment is for the fees. They like you to think you're getting free airtime, but it's part of the contract. So that airtime is included in how much you're paying anyway. But that's the deal. That is, there's no,
there's no getting around that.
Yeah,
yes.
That's just the contract. So, but you need to go and possibly look online to see if you can see another one of those contracts and just read it and see what it says.
Or ask for a copy from the cell phone company. They should have it on record.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Thomas. Okay. All right. Bye-bye now. We had a call that says caller in the call suggested that Jack gets hold of his local MEC for education to help sort out the problem with the university. Jack, maybe that's a thought. Get hold of your local MEC for education instead of the minister. Yeah. See if that'll work. Somebody's just called in about Thomas's call. Says the caller must remember that contract airtime does not roll over to the third month. For example, in September, airtime expires in November. Only October airtime can be carried over. So you can't hold on to that.
Terms, yes.
Yeah. So after 3 months, what you had, if you haven't used it, it's gone. Then you start again. So this is a contract
and I know
airtime.
Some contracts, if you don't use it within the month, then it falls away.
The SMS here says, what is the cut-off age if I should stop paying maintenance for a child? Should I continue supporting even if the child never stops studying?
Well, technically the cut-off age is 18, but you are supposed to maintain the child until he or she becomes self-supportive. So that means while he or she is studying, he or she is not yet self-supportive and can still claim maintenance. But after the age of 18, the mother or the father can't claim on the child's behalf anymore because the child is then an adult and needs to institute his or her own maintenance claim.
And if the child is studying, you get some of these people that are
Yes.
terminal sort of studiers, where they'll do 1 degree, 2 degrees, and then still, and you can't expect the parents to still be paying the child
you can't.
40
it's a very
still
grey
studying.
area.
Yeah.
It's a very grey area. But if you have a maintenance claim against you at the moment and the person is not stopping studying, then you can go to court and apply for a reduction in your maintenance or...
But I would imagine allow them at least to get like 1 degree.
Yes, at least 1 degree and to finish school, that type of
Yes,
thing.
absolutely.
But if it's more than that,
And once the child's 18, they have to apply for their own maintenance.
they have to apply for their own maintenance because they're an adult then.
Right, well, we've got about 10 minutes left. If you have any questions to squeeze into the last of the show, it's 0892 10 20 10 or SMS on 40938.
No one lays down the law like Car and Key. This is the Law Report on SAFM.
Right, let's see how many questions we can get into the last 8 minutes. David in East London, good evening.
Good evening, Corin, and
Arinda.
I listen to your show very, very often, and I was listening again tonight, and I was quite taken back to hear the guy with the divorce problem that, it should take such a short space of time.
No, that's just for the beginning part. That's not for the actual court thing. That was just getting the papers served.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just put my scenario to you and hope you can help me. It's in connection with a friend of ours, family friend. It's a lady who was, she was married. She left her job in, the Eastern Cape and went up to Johannesburg on her husband's insistence. When they got there, he didn't. She had a house, that they had down here. They sold the house and they went up there. When they went up there, he said he was going to buy a house, but he didn't. They moved in with his parents, and him and his father have a business outside the country. And so she was left there with her daughter. The daughter is now 8 years old. And he bought her a car for a wedding present. And after a while, she decided that she couldn't just stay there because she didn't get on with the in-laws and that. So she moved back to East London with the daughter and the vehicle. All the furniture and that is still stored up there. And from February last year, she's been to a lawyer on several occasions, discussed it with him. He's said that he has sent correspondence through, and the problem is apparently that with this guy working overseas, he only comes back for holidays over December time, normally from about the middle of November until the end of December and that. But in all this time, she's been to the family advocate, she's been backwards and forwards to the lawyer, the car is damaged, she couldn't get the child into school in the city, so she's staying with her mother out, quite a long way out of town, and she has to take her daughter to a little combi, a bus that takes them to school, so she has to have a car to get the daughter there and to pick the daughter up. The husband pays 1,300 Rand a month in total for her and for the daughter. And she sometimes halfway through the month she hasn't got money to put petrol in the car to take the daughter to school and that. And it's been ongoing, like I say, for almost 2 years now since she went to the lawyer.
Yeah, I think the whole problem here, I think, David, is the fact that they haven't been able to serve the papers or something. Is that sound by the sounds of it, Arinda? We just need to move. We've got 5 minutes. We've got a whole lot of other questions I just need to get through quickly. So can you just give David some brief advice here?
Yes, it sounds like they're struggling to serve it on him. But if he's outside of the country, the lawyer can try edictal citation. You can just make a note of that. That means you can serve it outside the country via email or even Facebook messaging. I've done that before, and the court will give you permission to do that. So if that's the problem, there is ways around that, but it shouldn't take that long, even if it's contested. It should get to court soon.
2 years is too long.
Yeah. Apparently the mother handles all his affairs when he's not here.
And she can't handle that, I'm afraid.
No, but she's actually responsible for paying the money into this lady's account once a month. And like I say, for more than just about 2 years now, she's been struggling. And to have the window repaired, he said they weren't going to pay the insurance for that. And we offered to help her to pay the excess on the insurance to have the car window repaired because it's dangerous, you know. And she's just lucky that the police haven't actually pulled her off the road.
Yeah, David, I think she basically either needs to go and speak to another attorney who can actually get this thing moving, who deals with this thing. And as Arinda says, there are ways and means of actually serving the papers to him outside the country. But I must thank you very much for the call, David. We've got lots more calls to get through. We've got literally about 3 minutes. So thank you so much. And hopefully you'll call us again another time. Right, I just want to get to one or two of these. We're not going to get through all these SMSs. One says, have I got rights to have time with my grandchildren? I'm being deprived of them by my daughter's in-laws. It's their decision not to obviously let them see the children. They do have rights as grandparents.
Grandparents have rights, even though it's not as direct as mother or father, but they still have rights and they can apply to court to get access to the children.
Do they go to the family advocate?
They go to the family court. Your nearest marriage court would be able to direct you to the right person.
So yes, you do have rights, and
yes,
your local magistrate's court, and they'll be able to tell you how to do that. This one is quite scary. It says, I got divorced in 2012. My wife went and got married to another man, but at Home Affairs it still shows that I am married to her. Home Affairs has been sending me from pillar to post, and no one seems to know how to help me. All my bank accounts have now been frozen. I mean, that just sounds frightening. I mean, why? Obviously, the divorce decree or whatever hasn't sort of hit Home Affairs, and that's also, 5 years ago?
Yeah, because it's fairly simple. You just give Home Affairs the divorce decree and they change the paperwork on their side.
So he's been going there and they don't seem to be able to help him. And for some reason they've frozen the bank account because they obviously...
I don't understand how that comes to the Home Affairs. Unless the wife
I think
on her
that
side
could be a separate issue.
Yeah.
And it says all my bank accounts have been frozen. And I think maybe that's not to do with the Home Affairs. That could be to do with maybe the wife has done something, or the ex-wife now.
And now it's still on his name.
It's still on his name.
Yeah.
No, you need to get yourself an attorney or something.
As soon as possible.
I don't know who the listener is, but I think you really need to be able to sort that out. How long does it take for a case if you sue the police for unlawful arrest? Mine is almost 3 years so far.
No idea. I can't give you a specific range of time
limit.
No,
when we have
it's going to depend on the facts and where you are in the matter.
Yeah, when we have either sort of criminal law on again, you're obviously asked to send us that thing again. Okay, then there's how long? Oh no, I did that one. My uncle was disabled at work. Unfortunately, he was mentally disabled before the accident. The company have hired a lawyer who is now bankrupted. I'm not sure if it's the company or the lawyer. It's a big thing, and we poor can't fight this. Who would they get in touch with? Obviously, fighting a disability. Well, it's a claim was disabled at work. So it would be a workman's compensation claim.
It would be workman's compensation, yes.
Okay, so and that does take a long time.
That takes a long time.
Okay.
That's not going to be an easy road.
Unfortunately, he was mentally disabled before that. If he was disabled through an accident at work, it still
counts.
It's still a workman's compensation claim.
That will still count.
Okay, very quickly, if a person dies or cannot continue renting due to illness, can the lease be terminated early in terms of the CPA and also airtime contracts? Also, if somebody dies, what happens to a contract when you die? Are you still, like if I have a cell phone contract and I die, what happens to is whoever still obliged to pay it for the rest of the 2-year contract?
It will become a debt for the estate. If the contract is for a specific time, and the estate will have to pay out the contract, but it should be able to be terminated earlier. Okay,
and the CPA, the Consumer Protection Act?
I don't think it specifically deals with that. Maybe in a broad spectrum, but at the end of the day, it becomes the estate's problem.
Okay, and also if you can't continue renting due to illness, can the lease be terminated early?
Definitely.
Okay, but that you obviously have to discuss with the landlord or the owner or whatever it was. And I'm sure they would be able to do that.
No.
Right, well, this time always seems to fly by. And my thanks once again this evening to attorney Arinda Trutter. She's an attorney at Skillman Law Inc., attorneys, conveyancers and notaries public practicing here in Cape Town. And she's been my guest on tonight's edition of The Law Report. Arinda, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll be doing another law clinic on Monday, the 11th of December. I'll be back with you again tomorrow evening, just after 9 with Health Matters. It's our monthly phone-in tomorrow. And with tomorrow being World Diabetes Day, my guest tomorrow evening will be diabetes specialist Dr. Kirshlan Naidu. So join me then. It's time now for some nighttime music with Stephen Kirker. Hello, Stephen.